so he should join. Okay.
I have to make a motion to open.
Great.
Do I? I'll make a motion to open the public hearing, or could I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Drew seconded.
This is going to be a fiasco, I can tell.
All right, this is a continued hearing. It's Wall Street Development Corp., Doopy Street. It's a permit, comprehensive permit, Massachusetts General Law 40B, Section 20 through 23, as amended to allow the construction of 12 duplex condominiums in 6 buildings. And here we are.
Would you like me to give my staff update to the board?
Sure.
Okay, great. So Mr. Petrosi has application, given that it's the applicant's preference to wait until after that initial hearing has happened, I would recommend that the board table the discussion on peer review until after we've had that introduction. So I'd recommend you table that for now, and we can address it later on. And so happy to answer any questions you might have about that. I think a date that we've discussed is September 21st. And we're going to try to make it a hybrid hearing. And between now and then, pending your vote to continue to that night for a hearing, we'll work out the details on how to make that work given COVID.
Is all the money that we requested, and he had a 7-day period, is that all that money here now?
No, we've not received the full amount that we've requested.
What is the remaining balance?
$5,000.
And he knew that we had a 7-day period.
That's correct.
Okay. Anyone have any comments out there?
I'd like to make a comment. So, first of all, I only speaking for myself and my understanding of the situation. Excuse me, not for the board. It was made very clear weeks ago to the petitioner that the law allowed the zoning board to hire a peer reviewer to be paid by the petitioner. Now, the petitioner came before the board with this knowledge and raised a lot of questions with a lot of specific items that he felt went beyond the scope. That was clarified by the attorney at the time, number one, that it was not beyond the scope. The follow-up was correspondence to the board to validate his concerns about the scope of the article. In other words, he let us know once again, I don't think I should do this, blah, blah. At the next zoning board meeting, the petitioner had still not complied with this. So a week ago, when we were here, and the town attorney made it very clear that the law was that the petitioner was to pay it. And the petitioner began inferring, in my view, my personal view, that the community development director had some association. So he was questioning, in my mind, some impropriety. That was just my feeling. And then the person that the town had hired, her name escapes me at the moment.
Judy.
Who?
Judy.
Judy, okay. And then Judy spoke up and said, no, in fact, she had the one that had hired them. Now, again, it was made abundantly clear last week, very clear from the attorney, that if the petitioner did not meet the requirements and fully fund, that the zoning board had every right to refuse to open the case or have a hearing in view of the fact that multiple opportunities for this man. Again, this evening, we found out that he hasn't paid at all. My understanding is that, and I don't know the fact, there was a seemingly inappropriate letter that accompanied this partial payment. Less than friendly, let's put it that way. Now, the town attorney has recommended that, as the petitioner asks, that we not make a decision on opening the case until September 21st, when we can open the meeting. And I respect George, our attorney, unequivocally. Whatever he recommends, I certainly would support. However, I would like all of these comments to be entered into the record, because I feel we've gone overboard to accommodate this petitioner. He has a long history with the town, going back not weeks, not months, years. And somehow all of his cases seem to be surrounded around controversy and animosity and And so I honestly feel that we have been more than fair with this petitioner. And again, I support 100% what our attorney would suggest we do. But I want this on the record, should there be any problems going up the road. So, thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Jane. John, are you back? You're muted. Mute.
Yeah, I'm on my phone, but
Oh, good.
so that's probably better.
Okay.
Okay.
Any comments from anyone else? John, do you have anything?
No, I hear loud and clear what Jane was saying, and I think what we're doing is we are going above and beyond fairness, and we're going to, we're going to move forward, and I expect that next meeting is going to, we're going to try this, actually have a real public hearing, and we've got time to work out the details on that, but that's what we're looking at for September 21st.
Great.
Do we expect at the September 21st meeting here again, he is going to have paid the remaining $5,000? Or is he going to show up at this meeting and again with a debate about why he doesn't have to pay it? I mean, I still think we have to go forward with it. I totally agree with that. I'm just raising this to people's consciousness. We've gone over and above board with this man. And hopefully, between now and then, that he will resolve whatever his issue is, come up with the money, and as John says, let's go forward.
May I?
Ashley? Yeah, go for it, Ashley.
So I appreciate your concern, Jane, and I'll just say that everything's been a little bit wonky because of COVID, and normally you would have been able to hear from the applicant, and there is a chance that the board might hear that first proposal and determine, you know what, maybe traffic peer review isn't necessary. Now, I'd say that given the circumstances and the situation and its proximity to Route 27 and just kind of the local conditions there, staff's recommendation is that is an important part of your review. But I think that the board should give the applicant an opportunity to present his application to you and for you to make a determination after that presentation. So certainly I don't want the discussion about peer review and the fees and the remaining balance to get lost. And it will not. But perhaps after that initial presentation, we can have this discussion again.
Okay.
Well, if I might say, I don't agree with you, Ashley. I feel, first of all, you're a community development person whom I've said 100 times, we're blessed to have you. You're extremely bright. But when it comes to time, for you to make a decision that it seems okay that we should do this. The fact that we're going to look at it next week and maybe a peer review isn't necessary for traffic. Listen, Ashley, we as a board, with the concurrence of the attorney, the board, not the community development person, the board, were within their legal rights to ask for these things. 3 different occasions, the man has had an issue with it. I fail to see how you could recommend to us that maybe we don't need the peer review of the traffic. Wait a minute, Ashley, that's all been discussed by the zoning board, not the community developer, the zoning board. And the zoning board has given this man these messages right along. I fail to see how we should back off now and say, oh, maybe we were wrong. Maybe we really didn't need it. What's the chance that somebody else comes along and they bring up the same issue? We're going to be hard put to stand if you have decided and recommended that we forget about that. Maybe we didn't need it and go for. I don't agree with that, Ashley. I strongly disagree with that. I think it's a big mistake to backtrack. We've come to a decision. We have the blessings of the attorney, and it was the decision of the board. The man was apprised 3 different times. We took a lot of grief from him. He didn't think this, and he didn't think that, and he didn't think the other thing. And he sends partial claimant with a letter. Mea culpa, No, I don't agree. We'll do it, and that's okay. And I will support that because your recommendation has been supported by the attorney, who I absolutely unequivocally has every bit of confidence. But I wanted to be clear that I don't agree with this. Too many times, this man has a long history. He didn't just show up last week. He's been 5 years at least. I've been on the board I've been on the board longer than that. And I knew him a year before I went on the board. So it's gone on a long time. And I think enough is enough. That's how I feel.
I think Ashley's just trying to have us open the hearing.
It's absolutely not my recommendation that you don't get traffic peer review. I want to make that very clear. My recommendation from the beginning, based on a review of the plans, was that you do get traffic peer review. So, and again, it's just a recommendation. I am not the board. I do not have a vote here. I'm here merely to try and help facilitate this process. And
as long as you're not saying that if he comes back next week and he has an argument about this and he doesn't want to pay, as long as and I'm happy to have it open. I mean, it's fine with me. As long as you're not saying that we'll open it and listen to it and then back off on him paying it.
No, she's not saying that. I don't think.
Okay, that's
absolutely
fine.
not. That's really
all right, then that's fine.
What I'm
George,
saying.
do you need to weigh in on this?
Sure, I can weigh in. Good evening, George Pucci from Town Council's office. Yeah, actually, it's not saying that, that she's recommending that the board back off of that requirement. She's just saying that you can still act on that following the applicant's initial presentation.
Fine with me.
So, the thing is, the good thing about this is it's narrowed down. So the good news for the applicant is the board is bending over backwards to try to get a forum together that, a 40B project could be properly heard, so that it's a meaningful presentation, it's meaningful input, a meaningful hearing process. So the board's trying to do that for September 21st. The applicant wanted to make his initial presentation. The board had offered, the board wanted to undertake the peer review right away so that something could be going on in this application rather than just continue it out indefinitely. The applicant didn't want to do it that way. And so he wanted to at least be able to have the opportunity to present the project to the board, make an initial project presentation before the board made a final decision about the peer review. Now, the member is entirely correct that my opinion on this was very clear as of the last time. I thought in my opinion, the board is well within its rights under the regulations, both the 40B regulations and your local 40B regulations, in voting the peer review that you did in accordance with the scopes that you provided. And that it would also be your prerogative if the applicant were not to agree to that, to take action on that, possibly deny based on the failure to do that. So that's an option. In the spirit of trying to get meaningful things done rather than, do procedural denials and all of that, if it was reasonably close that the board could hear at least the initial presentation, Ashley had made the recommendation, which I agree with, but I don't make the decision on it, of deferring your final vote on the peer review issue pending the initial presentation by the applicant. So what you would be doing if you agreed to do that tonight, you would be tabling any action on the failure to fund the peer review as already voted by the board. You would be deferring action on that until after the initial presentation. We have gotten to the point where we've narrowed it down. Basically the applicant saying he didn't want that portion of the traffic review because it wasn't, it's a smaller project than 20 units under the regs. But your regulations definitely talk about for projects 20 or greater, or as decided by the board. In other words, if you think that this particular project warrants that review, then you're within your rights to have that peer review go forward. So that's where the issue is at that point. So I just want to be clear, to you in terms of your options, and it's a relief the way you frame the issue, because both Ashley and my concern have always been, we want the board to make these decisions in your public hearing process publicly, transparently, directly to the applicant, so that there's no question of any type of middle person. So you framed it exactly right. Okay. The board would be free to take action on the failure to fund the peer review tonight, or you could also go forward with this procedure and hear the applicant's initial presentation on the project in September and table the issue until then. So it's entirely in your prerogative what you want to do, but those are basically your two options at this point.
Okay,
thank you.
I really appreciate that, Judge, and I have no issue with tabling it. I was trying to provide clarity that this is how we had done it, and I fully agree that in person or hybrid makes more sense, and I don't have a problem with that. And you further clarified by saying that if he opened it up and presented it, he would not be absolved of the remaining funds. That was the kicker for me, number one. And secondly, I wanted to make it clear to people, this is not his first rodeo, if you will. So we've had problems in the past. So I in the spirit of going forward, let's put it behind us and go. That's fine.
Thank
you.
Any other board members have anything? Is Mr. Petrosi here?
I am here.
Do you have any comments on this?
Well, not to belabor the point, but I don't think Ms. Coffey is representing our position accurately. We have agreed to peer review. We just don't agree with the peer review proposal of Davis Square Architects because of the nature of the project and the size of the project. The character of the project does not require the scope of services that are outlined in their proposal. We did submit funds for peer review for Tetra Tech to begin their review of the drainage and the technical aspects of the project, which we anticipate that portion of the peer review to move forward. But the issues related to the proposal of Davis Square, which are more, as I've mentioned before, design related rather than, and aesthetic related rather than technical advice, we are suggesting that that information or that review not take place until we've heard comments from the neighbors, the abutters, the other parties that may have other comments that may affect that type of review. If the zoning board determines that they would like to continue with that aspect of the peer review. We're not saying that obviously we have the money. We're not saying we don't want to pay for peer review. We want to pay a reasonable amount for peer review for a scope of services that are developed for the project. For example, as I mentioned at the last meeting, I don't think it's appropriate for one person to be compensated for $1,250 to attend a meeting. I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay that.
Okay.
With regard to
let's
the
just
traffic,
move this along.
Yeah.
with regard to the traffic review, your regulations didn't require a traffic study to be done. We submitted a traffic study. We anticipate that study will be scrutinized appropriately, but we would prefer that scrutiny take place after we've had our traffic consultant make a presentation so that we can narrow down the potential issues that might be related to that. It's not that we're not willing to pay for peer review. We want the money to be spent judiciously and not wasted.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Petrosi. Anybody else on the board have any comments? All right, I need a motion for the tabling. Ashley, go ahead.
Just would like some direction from the board on how you would like to proceed with the peer review. Mr. Petrosi has suggested that peer review move forward with a portion of the project and not the other ones. So would you like that to move forward, or do you want to just wait until the presentation, if you do continue to September 21st, and then have it all begin?
Yeah, Ashley, the board was very clear that we outlined what was necessary for the peer review. That's been given to the applicant. We're going to move forward with that, and all we're doing tonight is we're actually continuing this case until a date in the future, and at that point we're actually going to have the applicant open the case for Doopy Street, and we're going to start moving the process forward. And it's up to him whether he wants to pay the full amount as required by the zoning board. So we're doing our part. Hopefully he does his part. So that's where we're at. We're not going to do dribs and drabs of it. We've outlined what we need from him to get the work done. And we've been advised by our experts, including you, Ashley, that we are, this is within the scope of what needs to be done.
Okay, thank you.
George, do I need a vote on a tabling?
No, you can just vote you need a vote on the continuation of the hearing date.
Can I have a motion to continue this hearing till September 21st, hopefully at Town Hall
At
Yes.
7 p.m.
at 7
o'clock.
p.m.
So
I
moved.
make that motion.
Second to John's.
Okay, it's a roll call. Let's start off with Jane.
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Drew,
Yes.
John,
Aye.
and Murphy, aye. So it's a 5-0. So September 21 on that one. Take over, John. It's all yours.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne. Okay, the next case we have tonight is the Summer Street LLC 40B application. And what we're going to do is hopefully similar to what we just did for the last one, but we can let the applicant in, but that's the intent, that we are going to have an actual hearing where we move this project forward. We have moved forward a little bit on the working group, but we're going to actually have a public hearing, hopefully on the 21st. We'll see if the applicant is okay with that. Okay, Ashley, can you let in whoever's there for Summer Street LLC?
Sure. So I let in David Hale. David, if there's anyone else I should promote, just let me know and I'll add him in.
Yes, could you promote Lou Levine?
Lou. I don't see a Lou Levine in the attendees list.
Okay. That's fine. Next time, I think my own opinion is you should go back to the idea of having panelists that are all let in, so that our whole team is let in and has an opportunity to speak.
I can let anyone from your team in now. Whoever you'd like, I can add as a panelist. That's no problem.
So I'm just curious why you changed the way you did it.
I'm happy to, let's talk about this tomorrow morning and we can go through all of that.
So we're happy to continue to the 21st. I think, Mr. Chairman, I sent you a letter consenting to the extension. This feels like an effort to, on your part, to look like you're cooperating, but I don't understand why we could have an in-person or hybrid meeting now when we couldn't at the end of July.
Okay, the reason is because this has been going on for 6 months, and what I'm trying to do is move it along. As far as we're concerned, we can still sit here and continue all we want. I'm trying to be fair and not make it look like I'm doing something. I'm trying to do something, as the other board members are. So that's what this is about.
Right. I appreciate that, but let's consider the fact that the town has hearings and issues liquor licenses and special permits, but not affordable housing, and does that remotely. And that seems like pure discrimination.
Okay.
The hearing should go forward.
The zoning board does not issue any of those. We've said from the beginning, these are large-scale projects. They have an impact. There's a lot of community interest. I don't even know exactly how we're going to do this on the 21st. So we're going to try to move forward, and we're doing this to move these projects forward. We're not doing them because it's going to be easy. These are complicated, as you know, big projects. And so we're trying to, move it forward. That's what this is about. If you don't like the 21st, well, I feel comfortable of just continuing it on as long as we're under the state of emergency from the Commonwealth. But that's not what this is about. This has gone on for 6 months, and we want to move this along.
So, let's try and do the 21st, but it should be 21st remote or in person, however it works. If the Democrats and the Republicans can nominate a president remotely, I think the Walpole Zoning Board of Appeal should be able to process a permit remotely as well. The COVID emergency is going to go on for a long time, and I think that there's a reasonable chance that you'll come up with some legitimate reason why the 21st doesn't work on an in-person basis. It's just not fair. It's discriminatory. It should be on a remote basis. That's how 99% of the other towns in the Commonwealth are working.
So 99% have approved 40Bs, is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, really? I'll do homework on that. 99?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So what we're going to do is we're going to continue this case until the 21st. 7 o'clock, Town Hall, main meeting room, and we're gonna try to do it with people there and also remote. I had conversations today to see if it's possible, and that's what we're gonna try. That's what we're gonna try to do. So, could I have any other comments from board members? Okay. So could I have a motion to continue until the 21st, main meeting room at Town Hall, 7 o'clock?
So moved.
Moved by Suzanne, second by Jane. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, this will be a roll call vote. So, Jane Coffey,
Yes.
Dave Anderson,
Yes.
Drew Delaney, you might be on mute, Drew. Suzanne Murphy,
Aye, Murphy, aye.
and John Lee, aye. Okay. Okay, motion carries. Okay, anybody have anything else? Okay, Ashley, do you have anything for us?
It looks like there's some minutes to review on the agenda, but we can kick those to the next meeting if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, does somebody, I reviewed them, I was fine with the minutes. Does somebody want to make a motion to accept those?
No, I didn't even look at them yet myself.
Okay,
Sorry.
we can put it off to the next meeting. Okay,
Great.
good. Does anybody have anything else for the board? Okay, so our next meeting for the 40Bs, and we need to make sure that the people in the neighborhood of South Walpole and Doobie Street know that it's going to be Monday, September 21st, 7 o'clock online, and we will, some of us will be at Town Hall conducting the public hearing. So the details, that's the public hearing. There's more details to be worked out. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thank you, good night.
George,
Okay,
good
good night.
night.
You're welcome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.